Right, good evening everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Brona and the other organisers of this event for inviting me here to speak. It's a great honour to have been invited. So this page is a bit about myself. As said before, I've just got my results for my degree and I've got a first class honours, which I'm extremely happy about, as this degree has taken me 5 years. Throughout my degree I've been sponsored by Costain, and with them I've done 2 summer placements and a year industrial placement. So with that and my master's year, my degree has been 5 years. I've put my A-levels on there because when I first applied to do my A-levels, I'd actually said I wanted to do law, English, maths and psychology. So it's completely different to what I actually ended up doing. So first of all, I'm going to talk a bit about my experiences, as I think once you get to university, you've decided you want to be an engineer. So as a female, you're not as much of a target to get them into the industry because you've obviously already made a decision. So whereas for me, people always say to me, how did you get into engineering? So when I was 15 and I was at school, a girl came in who'd done work experience at Mott MacDonald, and she told me all about what they'd learned, and it was really fascinating. And I thought, I want to do that. So I went home and said to my dad, I want to work for that McDonald's engineering company. He was like, do you mean Mott MacDonald? And I was like, yes, that's the one I mean, not McDonald's. So I was very lucky in the fact that he actually knew who they were, and so I went to Mott MacDonald and I spent a week there, and they gave me an insight into all the different sectors of engineering you can go into. And then after that week, they put me in touch with OST Energy, who are a renewable energy company. Now at the time, there was just 2 men working for them, and I worked with them for 2 weeks, and they got me to do a lot of research into renewable energies like across the globe, and that gave me a real insight into engineering. And I thought, actually, I want to do something engineering based, as opposed to law, English and psychology that I'd originally thought of. So I changed it to psychology and environmental studies because I thought these would help me get into this industry. So that was when I was 16. I'm now 22, So when I was about 17, I met Brona, and I said to her, I think I want to do environmental studies at uni. And she was like, well, have you considered civil engineering? Because that covers a lot of the stuff you do in environmental studies, and also a lot of other sectors, and basically said to me, look into civil engineering because it opens up so many doors for you. So I went away, and as 16-year-olds do, had a little look online, and I was like, oh, this is actually quite interesting, but I still wasn't really that sure. So I spoke to my dad, and luckily he worked for Southern Water, and the Peacehaven new wastewater treatment site was being built at that time. So he asked one of the guys there, he knew if they could take me on a site visit. And I went there and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I only ever walked past building sites, seen men in building hats, like shouting and not being very warm. So that was great. Got a real good insight, and that was when I came in contact with Costain, because the guy who took me around said to me, like, have you looked into Costain's sponsorship scheme? Because they do a thing where they take you through uni and you do your placements and you'll do your industrial placement. So then I went and did a little bit more research, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to apply for this. So this was while I was doing my uni applications, and I just picked civil engineering, picked a few places that I thought looked quite good to do the course, and that was that. So then I applied, and by some miracle I managed to get my sponsorship with Costain, and that's when I started uni. And then from there, so the experience at the bottom is the 3 placements I did. So I've done 2 rail projects and a water project. One was Crossrail and one was a station upgrade, so like complete variety. So I am really grateful to Costain for all the experiences they've given me, because it's opened a lot of doors for me. But also, so while I've been at uni, I've also been a STEM ambassador, because I believe, like me, when I was 15 years old, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And the reason I got into it is because someone who was 2 years older than me told me about his experiences. If I just read that in a book, I probably wouldn't have even considered doing it. I've also been involved in the PPE for Women campaign. This is me in yellow PPE being photographed for the supplier catalogue. So I did this last summer with my boss was female, and she was working with Arco to develop PPE that is actually comfortable for women and not size 8 trousers that come out here, which doesn't represent female sizes at all. So yeah, this is one of the pictures, and I'm now in the supplier, which is a bit embarrassing because a lot of the people I've worked with keep texting me like, oh, is that you in the thing? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. So my inspiration was my teachers. If my teacher hadn't got that girl to come back to school and tell us about Mott MacDonald, I'd have never known. My passion for STEM topics obviously helped. I really enjoyed maths at school. I did triple science, so I'd done the right subjects. And also sustainability. My degree actually had a focus in on sustainability, so it was civil engineering with sustainability. As well as that, learning from other people's experiences. So when I met Brona, she told me about all the different projects she'd worked on. One that stuck out was working on an airport, because I thought airport logistics must be an absolute nightmare. And it is actually something I'd quite like to get into when I was older. So another inspiration, I'm really, really lucky that I've got supportive parents. Both of my parents have always pushed me to do whatever I want and have always set me up with opportunities wherever possible to get experience and to see, like going on site visits, actual visual examples, because I think visual examples and pictures and really good videos are a lot better than just reading stuff in a book. My work experience when I was 15 was obviously the main thing that got me into it. My environmental studies A-level was really good because my teacher was really passionate about the environment, and she said to me, look, you could do environmental studies at uni, you can do civil engineering. So she was really supportive and told me of all the options available. And then industry experts' advice. That's all the people I've met in all my different jobs and all my different work experiences along the way. So I think bridging the gap, the main thing is education. Until I was 14 or 15, I had no idea what civil engineers do. Even now at uni, in my first week, I got asked about 20 times, oh, you do civil engineering, what's that? Do you build bridges? Well, no, we do build bridges, but there's a lot of other stuff. And I also meet a lot of people who do like maths degrees, physics degrees, and they said if I actually knew about civil engineering and all the other branches, so like mechanical, electrical, I might have actually considered that and done that. So as well as education, I think promoting a positive image of females in STEM subjects is really important. So, for example, going into schools, having female role models, but also male role models. There's been a lot of male people who've inspired me as well. And I do think that's really important. Like sometimes when you see female-only STEM-inspired events, I think you should really make it male and female because you can learn a lot from males within the industry, and a lot of them are so supportive. Especially like with my placement year, I was the only female out of 29 of us, and every single one of them was so helpful and really helped me learn a lot that year. So finally, female role models who can share their experiences. Well, that would be someone, I guess, like me, going into a school now, speaking to someone who was 11, 12, 13, 14. I've done quite a few events with STEM, like with young children, so like the Big Bang event that was spoken about before. I'm doing that next week, and hopefully I'll get to speak to a lot of young children. And also, younger children are a lot more excitable than teenagers. So I'll speak to teenagers and be like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Whereas you speak to a 9 or a 10-year-old, they get really excited and they want to show you everything they've done. So I do think it is really important to just drill it into children all the way up and educate what engineering is before you get to 14 or 15, where they've probably made a decision to do something else when they're older. So I'll just show you a few pictures of me during my time. This is my placement year. This picture up on the left is when I started at the beginning of the year, and this is at the end. It was covered up underground. No one can see what we've done. But I know it was good, so it's fine. And then this is a few pictures of me. This one's the one top at the left's a bit embarrassing. We ordered in some waterproof trousers, and obviously they didn't fit me. So I tried it on, and it came up to here when it should have come to here. This is me with all my friends at uni. They've been really supportive, and obviously because I did a 5-year degree, I ended up with just them being my friends really, because all my other female friends had graduated because they all did 3-year courses. This picture in the top right is me on my placement year, looking a bit like a boy because you can't see my hair. And then bottom right is my dad and I down the Lee Tunnel in London. That's another thing. I went on a site visit with him because he asked me to go with him, and it was fascinating, and it was 70 metres below ground, and I'm petrified of heights. So that was a bit nerve-wracking going down. And then that's me down the tunnel, and that's me on a site visit at uni. Thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions?